All right. Well. I'm back. And we coming back full throttle tonight with a major topic, sex as a weapon. What is consent? So what's going on, good people? It's been a minute. Actually, the Monday night edition with the Hanging with Herb segment, it's definitely been a while. But I had to take some time to kind of try to have a nice balance with the school year starting because that definitely hits me real hard during that time of the year. It's like insanity. So I wanted to take a couple weeks off. So now, I'm trying to get working my way back into the groove. Been in school. This is I think our fourth week. Damn, time fly by fast. Hey, Marcia. Thanks, Francis, Kiki for joining me, Melissa, and I already said Marcia. Thanks for joining me tonight in the Counselor's Corner. So, like I said, our topic tonight is going to be sex as a weapon. What is consent? And like I said, pretty much I've been dealing with the ins and outs of the school year, and also, man, I'm super excited that my book, No Friday Foolishness, is actually in the typesetting stage, as well as the book cover is getting finalized. So that joint gonna be out before you know it. So make sure if you want to get those pre-orders, hit me up. Shoot up a thumbs up sign, whatever, inbox me or something to get your copy of No Friday Foolishness. And then after that, I'm really gonna jump into that middle school madness. And what's interesting about that, a lot of people want in on this book. A lot of people want in. And I keep telling people it's a lot of parallels between middle school, what goes on with those relationships, and adulthood. I mean, it's dead on, whatever. It's just as adults, we have more experience, but it's a lot. All right, Mary Elizabeth, thanks for joining me. Donetta Lewis, thank Nicole, Sherry Woods, thanks for joining. Big Herb in the house. So that's been pretty much it. Just like I said, dealing with new enrollments coming in for the school year. Also, I'm super excited because finally, and this is my seventh year in middle school, that it's a counselor per grade level. So I have the eighth graders. So they think they're grown, they're getting ready for high school, and it's my job to prepare them and get them ready. And we have a new sixth grade counselor, and then we have a seventh grade one. So hey, I don't have to split with my other counselor. I'm good, man. It feels good to just be able to focus on one grade level. The downside is we rotate in years. So next year I got the sixth graders again. God damn, y'all pray for me on that one. Pray for me on that one. I do not want that smoke again. I said, hopefully I can retire before that time hit around. But you have to just roll with it. It's interesting to see how they grow from sixth to eighth grade. Aisha, thanks for joining me. Joe, thanks for joining me. Ebony Swanson, thanks for joining me. So Cole Lewis, Jackie Smith, thanks for joining me. So Big Bad Wolf, Herb, what's going on?
Man, just another day in paradise, man.
So pretty much what you've been up to, man, as we closed out the summer, we about to head into this fall. What's been new with you?
I'm just lining up my financial ducks. I'm looking to pick up another part-time job. Trying to set myself up for the stretch running through the twilight years of my life, man.
I hear that.
That's about it.
All right, so sex as a weapon, what is consent? What made you came up with that topic? Because I know we've been off for a while, but then you coming back blazing with this topic.
Well, the post that you put up got me to thinking, and then when you asked me about a topic, I looked at a list. Now, I had originally comprised this list for a Facebook group, so we could, because it's a debate group.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was aiming to do was I was comprising a list of topics, and if anybody has ever heard of a show called Intelligence Squared, that's where I was going to base the format on. Now, a lot of people, when they like to debate, they like to take the side of the issue that they're a proponent of. And what I was going to do was I was going to flip that. So I was going to put names in the head of the people that were volunteering to join in on the debate, and I was going to have them pick a side that ran contrary to what they believe. And I think this becomes important, particularly now in this country and Western culture at large, so we can understand both sides of the debate. Not necessarily so you can agree, but it makes you a more informed person, because when you're looking to debate something and you're looking to try and disprove somebody, first thing you have to do, and they teach you this, is understand your weaknesses in your own position and with your own issues. So when people don't understand that, and we encounter this a lot on Facebook, when people don't understand another person's perspective, it makes them defensive as opposed to more open to what's being discussed. And this is why we always encounter roadblocks. We encounter people getting upset. We encounter people not agreeing, not liking, as opposed to just understanding. And I've always said this. In a discussion, I'm not trying to prove that I am right. If you understand my position, that's what I want. That's what I consider a winner as far as the debate goes, because we're not necessarily going to change each other's positions and stance on some issues. We just need to be understanding of what the other person is saying or trying to communicate to us.
I think the great Dale Carnegie has said that, like, there's no winner in a debate or in a relationship argument. There's no winner. If that's your goal, to win, someone's going to end up hurt. And I don't know how, unless you're just a cold-hearted, you-know-what, and you're like, oh, I got to win. There's really no win. Sometimes you got to just let people, you save face and just, eat that humble pie and all that stuff. Because if somebody is down and out, or you beat them down, I don't know how you winning with that. So I feel you on that as far as the debate part.
And you know what the funny thing, it took for me to start running for political office to understand how to actually tell somebody politely to get lost, for lack of a better term. Because there's diplomacy that you can employ when you're right and somebody else is just so far left, that when you say something, the knowledgeable people and the people that understand your position, they be like, yes, that person is an idiot. That person is a moron. And you don't have to tell them that. But in so many words, you can let them know that what they're saying and the information that they're using is incongruent with the position that they're taking. So that's why I always pride myself in going back and researching things and looking up information. Because there are times when I've come across some information, I said, you know what? That I didn't know. Just like with the religion aspect. Now I wasn't aware of how much money the Black church had raised in regards to that, and doing the background check and gathering the information for that. That's when I come across secondary stuff, and I pursue that, and I go look at that, and I say, okay, you know what? This is interesting. This is interesting. That's how I discovered the white glove issue. So it's like you pull the thread out of a knitted sweater, and you just keep pulling, and next thing you know, you're sitting there with a ball of yarn and no sweater. You say, well, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. But, and I understand all that, and I just want to get into the meat and potatoes of this subject, because there's so much going on every day centered around this topic. I mean, we already know, we already see the drama that's going down with AB, Antonio Brown. He was a former Steeler, and that was my man on the Steelers, but there's a lot of stuff been happening in the background with him, and it just makes you like, wow, like, and a lot of people keep throwing out there, does he have CTE from, all the blows and hits, whatever, is that causing his behavior to act a certain way? But I didn't know also, like you said, Herbert, doing research, I didn't know as far as Antonio that Facebook, and I think in 2017, they paid him 244,000 to create content for them. 244,000. Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't need the money. Come look for me. I'll do that shit. I will retire tomorrow. You pay me to come up with some content. But that was like behind the scenes deal. So Antonio might got some things cooking, and people might think that he's losing it or whatever the case is. But we're gonna get more into that because something ain't right about that whole situation. What's that lady? What's the young lady's name? Brittany Taylor. Something just don't add up with that. But go ahead, Herb.
Well, to follow up what you said about Antonio Bryant, AB, for people who don't know, that's his name, Antonio Bryant. That situation is the prime reason why I believe, and don't quote me on this is just my opinion, why North Carolina is actually looking at Bill 553. And for people who are unaware of what that bill is, that bill specifically states that once a female consents to sex, she can't withdraw consent. So even in the middle of the act, if she's uncomfortable, she's having misgivings or second thought, the guy does not have to stop and is not considered rape, is not really even considered a crime.
Hold on, what type of shit is that? Like, even as a man, if you're doing it, you're like, yo, this ain't right, whatever, and you want to stop. So they just have to continue on once they, and like somebody had posted one of my posts, they was like, when you have sex, do you even ask for consent? Usually if you feeling each other, things just progressively happen and you don't come to no verbal agreement to get consent like, oh, it's about to go down. So you telling me right now we can have sex? Like, I don't know where they come up with this stuff, whatever. I really don't. But go ahead, Herb.
And to that point, let me follow that point up with this. When you posted the situation, I believe it was with Erica and the other guy, Brian Odom made the exact same statement. I'm going to read that post verbatim. She consented. No, yet there was no resistance or words telling him not to continue. She begrudgingly had sex with him because she didn't want to leave him. She didn't want him to leave her. Begrudging is consent. I can guarantee you that no one here says, may I have your permission to fornicate? Every time they have sex, body language will dictate this. So if I have sex with my wife and we're both feeling it, but I didn't speak it, and she says, yes, did we rape each other? That is the quintessential point of what you just said. Now let's take that point and let's move into a younger demographic. And when I say younger demographic, I'm not talking about people under the age of 18. I'm talking people college age. So we're dealing with very young adults, mostly from the ages of 17 to about 21, 22, where most people are just now getting introduced to alcohol consumption. Now you're in a position to where two people legally, I stress legally, can't consent to have sex, and they do. What happens then? So, this has the potential of, if this bill passes, it's still sitting in their Senate. And I think the bill was sponsored in 2017. So that is going to be a highly contentious topic. And I think that what is attempting to be done is they're putting the onus on the individual to get back into being in control of their own lives. And I'll start that by saying this: with great power comes great responsibility. With the advent of the birth control pill, women have had an increasing role in self-determination. The opportunity of voting, employment, education, marriage, childbirth, abortion, and divorce has given women an unparalleled control over their lives. That has impacted the social fabric of Western culture and society at large. And that ripple effect has yet to be completely understood and felt, and may not be felt for some time to come. We've reached a crossroads, and with the Me Too movement, date rape or rape culture is time to take a look at things from a perspective and the potential future impact. Now, I want to be clear on something. I'm not saying that rape culture doesn't exist. That's not the position I'm taking. I'm just here to give us some information on this particular topic, because I don't think the mainstream media really focuses on this type of stuff. And as we all know, usually when these bills are passed in one state, other states start to adopt similar things like the stand your ground rule, which is very popular in Florida. Florida is pretty much the only state where we hear about that, but there are a lot of other states that have similar versions of the stand your ground law. And I think that's what hurts us as American citizens. We're not aware of statutes and state laws from other states. Just like if you were to ask the average person, and you posted this on one of your posts about the age of consent. Most people think the age of consent is 18. I think there was a dozen states or so where the age of consent is 16. I know in New York State it's 17. So when you have people that aren't informed about the law of a particular state, they get on a post and they're talking about this and they're talking about that, and they don't realize that the information that they're operating with is factual. And that's part of what I was mentioning earlier.
Actually, I think like 30 states, it may be like 16, and there is some states that is 18. But of course, there's positions that when you're in a position of authority, that you would still be charged, even if a person was 16. And like in the school system, police officers, people with authority and who can kind of influence a person to have sex with them and take advantage of them, then you could be charged for that. But in those states where it's 16, if the person consent, and it's just like a regular person, and if they're 30, 35, 40, hey, it just went down. As crazy as that sounds. And I know a parent probably couldn't picture their daughter or son at 16, but sleeping with a 40-year-old.
Yep. So let me get back to this. With what I just said prior, we have to understand that male and female relationships, particularly when sex is involved, are becoming more and more complex. And like I said earlier, I think the government is saying, look, we already intrude enough in your personal life. We don't want to intrude anymore. So you look at marriage, abortion, child support, divorce. The government has their hands in what the average American citizen does almost on a daily basis. Like now there's federal legislation to ban vaping. And personally, me, I don't get into the debate. Some people are upset. Some people are just railing against all they know because they want to ban vaping. I don't smoke. So if they want to ban vaping, ban vaping. I don't care one way or another. It reminds me of the whole gay marriage topic. People were like, well, what's your stance on gay marriage? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I'm not gay. So if gay people want to be married and be as miserable and divorced at the same rate that heterosexual people do, hey, let them have that right. And I believe that they should be able, and the biggest reason why there was such a push to get gay marriage is not necessarily because gay people felt they had a right to wed. They wanted the benefits that their mates or that married people essentially have, because what was happening was you would have a lot of gay people, whether it was male or female, that they were losing their partners due to a terminal illness or an untimely death, and they weren't entitled to any benefits that a traditional wife or husband would be via marriage. So that was the genesis behind the push for gay marriage. And a lot of people think, and like I said, information. A lot of people think it was just a push for them to be recognized as married people. No, they wanted the benefits. And how can you blame them? I mean, if they're going to pay taxes, work in the society, and do all the other things that the average American does, then they should be entitled to those benefits. And like I said, I'm not a proponent of gay marriage. I'm not against it. I just understand the argument. And I, to the listening audience, I want you to understand, you don't have to take a position on everything that comes to you. Just understand what the position 2 or 4 is. And you can sit there and listen all day, and actually you can enjoy the discussions. Because I know I've sat back and I listened to lively debates, and I'm like, that person has a good point. That person has a good point. That person has a good point. And this is what should propel our society to a more of a homogeneous society. Because now we look at the political spectrum, particularly at the federal level, and I know President Trump is catching a whole lot of flack on whether or not he's racist, whether or not he has an agenda to get rid of brown people, as the phrase is commonly being used now. So just understand what it is that people are talking about, and turn off the TV for a minute. Pick up a newspaper, pick up a periodical, pick up a paper, get your financial investments right, because if what economists are predicting to come, there's going to be an economic downturn coming up in 2020. So make sure if you haven't started to invest in something, get on the phone, call defense, get that gold, get your stuff right. But let me get back to the topic.
Let me just add a piece in. And when you think about voting, and we go to the polls, and they have those things locally that you're voting on, I don't think most people understand the verbiage, or they even read through any of that stuff. So, and I think that's why all this stuff always seems like it's misleading when you find out what was passed and different things, because people are not going to take the time to read that stuff, unfortunately. And I think a lot of stuff get passed that people have really no idea what they just voted on. It's just my take.
No, you're correct. A lot of people, I won't say they refuse to, they just don't feel the need to go sit in on a city council meeting. And maybe it's because of their home life, their financial life, and everything associated with that is stable. They may say, okay, everything's running well, I don't need to go here and sit in on this and sit on that. Let me break it down in layman terms. It's akin to somebody feeling well, doing well physically, and they never go to the doctor. They never get an annual checkup. They never go see their dentist, the optometrist. They never get all that stuff taken care of until something happens. That's the maintenance part of being involved in your community. You don't necessarily have to spend hours upon hours reading laws, seeing what bills are being passed. There's ways you can do that that'll streamline the process. You can, especially with social media, you can plug into your local government webpage, and you can see what's being voted on. You can see more than likely the city council agenda. I know personally I can't do as much as I want to because I work midnight, so that pretty much puts anything done during the middle of the day between traditional operational hours of city council, which here I think it's between 5 and 6 on Tuesday. I'm usually asleep by that time, so I'm just like, you know what? I'll hop on Facebook, I'll join the community forum, and I'll see what's going on, and I'll see what's being voted on, and see what's being talked about. Because right now in Niagara Falls, there's a push to redevelop the downtown area. And if you haven't been to Niagara Falls in about 10, 15 years, or you moved away, it's long overdue. The economic downturn in this city started back when I was in high school. So we're talking 27 years ago almost. Yeah. Yeah, so, just to finish that point off. But let me get back and read an excerpt from a female, one or two females, who was involved in the genesis of this bill. Aaliyah Pryor was at a party when a man pulled her in the bathroom for sex. She was willing, but she told Fayetteville, North Carolina police when the sex turned violent, she told the man to stop. He didn't listen. She thought what happened to her was rape, but she found out that under North Carolina law, a woman is not allowed to back out of sex once it's underway. So let's think about that for a minute. Like I said earlier, if a female or a guy, and more often than not, it's usually female just because of the way sex goes down and it's initiated. If you are in North Carolina, you don't even have to be a resident. You can be visiting. If you are in North Carolina, you go to a party, a family reunion, y'all go out to a club and you meet some guy, you're feeling it. The alcohol is getting to you, have one too many martinis, you see some guy you find reasonably attractive, you hook up, you tell him, so where are you going? I'm just going to step out. And you go to the car, one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, you got the Victoria's Secret bras on the floor of the car, and you're like, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to embarrass myself. And you say stop, and the guy don't. There's not much recourse that you have. And women are probably thinking, well, this doesn't pertain to me, so why should I need to care? That's where you should care, because of the 85% of rape, sexual harassment cases, and things of the like, the other 15% happens to men. So if your son, your brother, or somebody else that you're close to has a complaint lodged against them, then you're looking at that person's potential livelihood, life, and reputation being ruined, just like David mentioned at the top of the show with Antonio Bryant. He doesn't have any criminal charges pending, but he has a civil lawsuit that is pending. And she's looking to get $2 or $3 million from him. All because of she's saying that he raped her. Now, he's presented some compelling evidence. He's presented pictures of them in bed together, her wearing bedding clothing, a head bonnet. Now, I know most women aren't taking those type of pictures just randomly. And another thing, for a man to orgasm on a female's back, that means that female was in a position to where she agreed to do something. You can, if you got a good imagination, you can figure out what that was.
And that's where it don't add up, even from the first time when she said he bust into the room and he kind of just rammed his tongue down her throat, and you give him another chance, then you go back again, and 3 times. Then the second time, that's when he, jacked off on your back, and then you come back a third time where he supposedly pinned you down, and that's when he raped you and all this stuff. Don't add up to me. Because
when I first was reading about the case, I said, okay, you know what? Let's see how this plays out. And somebody just killed the skunk. Got my windows open and it started to waste in. Yeah, when I saw initially the report of that, I said, okay, you know what? Let me sit back and see how this plays out, because he hadn't come forward with any evidence or information to combat her position. So I said, okay, you know what? Is there a possibility that he's guilty? Maybe. But then he put forth that information. I said, okay, she's just essentially trying to legally extort him, because in a civil case, it's different from a criminal case. In a criminal case, you have to have a preponderance of evidence for them to assume guilt. In a civil case, is nowhere near the burden of evidence needed to win a jury verdict. And in a civil case, all people need to believe is there's a reasonable possibility that something occurred. Now, what I heard somebody else say was when he got traded to Oakland from Pittsburgh, but keep in mind that they went to college together. So this wasn't some random female he hooked up with. They had known each other for years. So when he got traded from Oakland to Pittsburgh, and she found out that he wasn't going to take her with her, apparently she set out on some type of revenge agenda. Now, all of this is going to play out in court because eventually that's where it's going to end up. But the reason why he got suspended or why New England let him go was because of the text he had sent to another individual who he had no sexual contact with, threatening her with pictures of her kids. That's what did him in. And see, this is where brothers and let me expand it. This is where men have to understand what it is that they're dealing with, particularly a man of means. If you're going to deal with females who you're not married to, make sure you get consent form signed. As stupid as that sounds, as juvenile and maybe unfathomable as it sounds, get consent form signed because it protects you from liability and potential lawsuits from a female who you just had consensual sex with no long-term plans to marry her or to do anything else other than just have sex with her. Because you walk into court with consent forms, they're going to ask her, is that your signature? She's going to say yes. They're going to say, well, what is it that you were expecting? Put the onus on her to prove her case because as of now, as it stands, anybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what kind of money you have or you don't have, your freedom, your reputation in your life hang in the balance. Because you don't even have to be convicted of a sex crime to be negatively impacted or have your reputation damaged. And once you're branded with that stigma, you never get rid of it. Case in point, the Duke Lacrosse case. Those men's lives have been irrevocably damaged. Their whole season was lost all because of an accusation that turned out to be completely baseless. So women out there, just be aware that your son could be potentially set up to fall victim, and I use the term victim in every sense of the word, victim to a vengeful female. And you guys all know how you can get when you're scorned. That's why the phrase is there. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. That's why that phrase was coined.
It seemed to me that with all of these different things that you have to worry about, it's no wonder that some people say, man, I'm with who I'm with. I've been with this person for this long. And you stay with that person because it's just too much shit out here. Like to have to worry about all of this. And like everybody's cutthroat or trying to come up and they don't care who you are, how long you've known each other. If they can take advantage or get the upper hand in a situation, they're going to go for it. And it's hard to believe how many interactions with people are really genuine and heartfelt because of this I got to get mine's type of attitude.
Let me read this comment by Marcia. Marcia says, I feel when two people have chemistry and with some cases lead to intimacy, that's an unspoken form of consent that she may use as a way of getting a man to be in a relationship without him having a choice in the matter or not. This isn't fair to him either way. That's why it's important for both parties to stay up front what they're looking for, because if it's just a booty call and nothing more, this should be spoken up front. That way, that at least it gives the woman the opportunity to say yay or nay and keep it moving. Now, there's a you can call him a pickup artist or a dating coach, and his name is Alan Roger Curry, and that's important. Go to YouTube, put that in there, and he should pop up. He's a fair-skinned African-American male. I think he's in his mid-50s, early to mid-50s. And he has a pickup style that he called Mode 1. And essentially, Mode 1 is essentially what Marcia said. Let that female know up front that your intention is simply just to blow her back out. Nothing more. Nothing more. That way, like she said, that female has the right of refusal, the right of consent, or at some other times she might take you up on an offer. Because this is the easiest way for most men to avoid having to deal with any type of situation relating to a potential sex crime. And once you land on the sex registry, that pretty much eliminates you from a lot of jobs.
And I just want oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, you said Mole 1. Actually, I got the book, Mole 1, with the Alan Roger Curry. See, we don't, you don't just come on here talking stuff out your ass. Like, research is done on these different topics. So it's funny that you say that. It's in my bag, Mole 1. And that Mole 1 is pretty much, like you said, let somebody know up front. This is the way it is. This is what I'm looking for, and you may come off and say, I just want to sleep with you. And some women will say, I respect that. And they'll go along with it. It's all the other stuff that women get caught up in with the wooing and them spinning this or that. But essentially, they want to sleep with you, but they just go about it in a different way. And in this book, it breaks down that.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, I said in the book, it kind of breaks down those different characteristics of how, some men go about this chase.
Yeah, now, apparently, I think he has 4 books out. I know they're available on audio as well as a paperback. I know he mentions another one at I think it's about verbal seduction, and the title of that book is Ooh, Say It Again. And fellas, I'm telling you now, it behooves you to go pick up these books, man. Go pick them up, read them, and there's some other books out there by pimps and people who deal explicitly or especially with women, and they understand women's nature. I want people to understand the difference between a woman's nature and how she behaves, because they're completely different. A woman's nature dictates what she's naturally looking for or going to do in certain situations. And depending on who you hang around with, we are now, at least now I do with what I listen to, we hear the term about hypergamy. And hypergamy is simply put, it's a woman looking for a man with the best resources so she can secure the well-being of her future children. Essentially put. So this is why you see a lot of women pursuing men with economic means and resources. So, just bear that in mind. Back to the topic. The 1979 Supreme Court case for the state of North Carolina, and the title of that is State versus Wade, and that was the genesis of the implementing of the law that said that women can't withdraw consent. So, in your research, start there, and that'll bring you back to SB 533.
So, ladies, I wonder, any of y'all have anything to say as far as that? Because that's kind of, just imagine if that became like something that was passed in many states other than North Carolina, and that was the way of life. I just wonder how things would go down with that being said, because granted, there are some sick bastards out here that'll try to take it, and you could tell them no, and they know that they shouldn't be in a position to do it. But then there's times when there's guys that they get charged for stuff that really wasn't the case. The story got twisted on them, and then like Herbert said, they're labeled or they're kind of screwed. losing jobs, or if you're an entertainer or athlete, losing endorsements and all that stuff, which is crazy. It's crazy.
There's another gentleman too. His name is Anzi Ansari. And he had a similar situation, and with a young lady he had dinner with. They went back to his place and they ended up having sex. Now, she's claiming that he was the aggressor and she didn't want to, but she felt compelled because of what happened. Now, see, if he was employing Alan Roger Curry's Mode 1, he would not have had to deal with any of the issues that he has to deal with. I think he ended up losing some endorsements. I think she sued him civilly and a lot of other things. So look up that gentleman's name too. His name is Aziz Ansari, is spelled Ansari. Now, let's get on the topic of consent. And as defined, consent occurs or is defined as when one person voluntarily agrees to the proposals and desires of another. There can be three types of consent: implied, express or informed consent, or unanimous consent. Sexual assault can take many different forms and be defined in different ways. But one, forceful manipulation or coercion of the victim into non-consensual sex, such as intimate partner rape or sexual partner violence, those are not forms of consent. And that's something else that Alan Roger Curry speaks about. He talks about the 5 ways, I believe it's 4 or 5 ways that a man can get a woman into bed. And the latter one is called deceit or manipulation, where he talks about that. And he talks about how men have used less than forthcoming means to get women in bed. If you're as old as I am, and you go back to the 80s with Rohypnol or the date rape drug, that was one that a lot of guys were using. This is why they used to tell women, and I live like this today when I go into the bar: never leave your drink unattended. Never turn your back on something that you're consuming. Even if you're going to the bathroom, give your drink or your beverage to somebody that's trusted, to somebody if your life was hanging in the balance, they're going to do the right thing. Because now you can't. I don't care if you're male or female. Somebody might be trying to give somebody else something and put it in your drink by mistake. The next thing you know, you drink something and you pass the hell out. You wake up in the ER. You're talking, what the hell happened? Worse, somebody violates you in a way that you didn't think was possible, or that you would only have occur if you went to a proctologist. So I'm reaching that age where prostate health becomes a concern. Trust me, fellas, you don't want that shit. you don't want to be violated like that. Not to bypass the women. They don't want to be violated like that either. Now, I don't care if you're anti-woman, a misogynist. I don't think anybody wants to see anyone harmed unnecessarily, regardless of the situation they put themselves in. And I'll say this, and I'll be out front with it. In my days of partying, I've seen a lot of females dressed like they looking to go out and solicit a job. I understand that it's enticing, that it's alluring to the man, but you still have to comport yourself in a manner that's dignified. So if you see a female dressed like that, you know what? You got to ask yourself, is that what you really want? Because just imagine if you get this female pregnant. You have to deal with that mentality for at least 18 years. We're not even talking child support. We're just talking about the mental well-being. Child support is a whole different ball game. So just bear that in mind.
Let me touch on it, and I could think about growing up, where y'all know the lingo when people used to say, yeah, the fella, she was like, yeah, we ran a train on her. And that was some deceitful type stuff because, typically it would happen like in a dark room where you would have people coming from under beds, out of closets, and the guys would just, take turns. And I don't think it was ever any washing of the fluids afterwards, whatever. And people used to get down like that. That wasn't for me. I was like, nah, that's just that's gross. That's gross. And keep in mind that these young ladies, they were young. They were like 15, 16, 17, and it might have been like 3 or 4 guys. And that was part of the culture with some people growing up. And it's crazy, the stuff that happens. That I just never was down with that cause.
Hey, don't get it twisted, people. It's just not younger women who are caught up in that. And when I say younger women, I'm talking your early teens. You have some females in college who are out here doing things of that nature. So do believe it. I know when I went to Buff State, there was at least 1 or 2 females I heard were getting done in by groups of guys. So when we see these shows, if you watch Fraternity Court or Maury, and you're asking, how is it possible that a female could have been with 4 or 5 guys in a week's time? So she's got to have all these guys testing to find out who the potential father is. Now you understand. And she may not be a slut. She may not be a loose woman like that. She may have been out having drinks one night. Somebody put a little something in there. Next thing you know, homeboy call his crew. He's like, yo, man, we got a zit. Next thing you know, she's in a bad situation, all because somebody took advantage of her. So just be cognizant. This type of stuff is out there. Just because it doesn't happen to you or it doesn't happen to people in your circle, it occurs. Those people you see on divorce court or in Moy, those people live in this country. As sad as it is and as crazy as it is, it's the world we live in nowadays.
Which makes me want to go to that point I had posted today, and I said, all across the world, there are some men out there placing your daughter on layaway, waiting for the age of consent. You might not like to hear it, and not just daughters, boys too. That there's adults, they're waiting. They're sitting back waiting. They know the laws. They know that this person is shapely, growing up, watched her grow up, and they're just waiting on their time. They're just waiting. And they might not even know the circumstances of the family that, if you're impoverished and it's a struggle financially and they, have money, that they know that could be, a chip that they could use to kind of lure that person their way. It's crazy. It's going down.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a topic, and I'll let the cat out the bag a little early. I'm going to do a topic on that because a lot of people think that men dealing with younger women is explicitly about sex, and trust me, it isn't. And I think most of us will agree that when male and females get together, or males and males and females, and there's a spark, ultimately, sex is an outcome. I don't think anybody is going to deny that. The only question is, when does it occur? And under what circumstances? So let me get back to the topic, and I'll tie this in. Understand that just because you are in a long-term relationship with somebody or you're married to them does not mean that you cannot rape them. Okay? That term is called gray rape, as in the color gray. So just understand that exists too. Like, it was, I can't remember when the John Bobbitt, Lorena Bobbitt case surfaced. I think that was in the 1980s, I believe, where she cut off his penis because she said he tried to rape her. Now, keep in mind, they're married. And then the thought was, well, how can you rape your wife? Being married, sex is a part of the implied agreement between the couple. So, with our laws becoming more progressive, people have to understand these laws and how they work and how they're going to affect people going forward. So that and everything else, when you take it, you put it in the blender and you mix it up, these guys are saying, man, this is a twisted society we live in. And for the most part, yes. It is even more so pronounced if you don't understand all the nuances of everything. And Lynette Peterson makes a couple poignant statements. One of them says, some men lead you on just to get sex and dump you later down the line, and it's so sad. And it's true, and I'll go back to what I said about mode one. If you as a woman know that you just want to have a man do you, put that out there. And I tell some women this, if you want to see if a man is just into you for sex, put that on the table when you initially meet him. And I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy as hell. But put it out there. You're going to see that man's true character, not his nature, his true character. Because if he's all about just sex and nothing else, he's going to jump all over that. He's going to say, okay, let's go. It don't matter, let's go. Now, if you have a man who isn't just about sex, at least initially, he's going to look at you funny. And for those of you who are schooled in body language and being able to read people's nonverbal cues, because 90% of communication is nonverbal. If you're schooled in being able to read people's body language, you'll be able to discern a whole lot from the person you're dealing with, whether it's a male, female, casual acquaintance, family, business partner, the list goes on and on. So these are all things that, if you can benefit from them and apply them in just about every aspect of your life, especially the mode one. If you're a business person, the last thing you want is somebody to waste your time. And this is one of the things that they tell people, that when you're sending letters out to people to solicit for donations, make sure it takes them no more than 5 minutes to get to what it is that you want. Be concise, be clear, be straight to the point, because time is money for a lot of people who are angel investors or investors. They don't want to sit there and read a 3-page letter when a page will do.
Yeah, almost like you got to have that
another
speech.
Comment that Lynette, pardon me, says, it's sad when a man gets caught up with a female as he's accusing him of assault where she can't keep him. And that's what I mean by a woman being scorned. And when we see it all the time, I've had it happen to me. I've had females come after me for some old nonsense. I'm just like, wait a minute. You got what you wanted, but now I'm moving on, or I don't want to deal with you in that capacity anymore. You feel some kind of way. Now, I've never been outright accused of committing a crime, but I have been accused of taking advantage of somebody. I'm thinking, I don't give women alcohol. And I have a hardcore rule when I am out and about. If I encounter a woman and she's drinking and she looks even remotely inebriated, I don't deal with her in any capacity. I don't care who she is. Because that is the quickest way to end up in jail. Believe me when I tell you, I speak from first-hand experience. That is the quickest way to end up in jail. So it's out there, fellas and ladies. Be mindful. Because if this passes in North Carolina, if SB 553 passes in North Carolina, you are guaranteed to see versions of this pop up in other states. Guaranteed. I'm willing to bet my life on it.
Yeah, well, we know, we live in a copycat society, so definitely some other states will adopt it, and it will have an impact on relationships, on how people go about their business. And I'm telling you, either you'll be more cautious and knowing your personnel or who you're dealing with, or some people may cause them to kind of back off from the whole scenery, the whole dating scene. So it's going to have some ramifications if that gets passed, and it wouldn't shock me if it didn't pass because it seems like some of the situations is unjust, and it's not a good balance. So we'll see.
And I think that's what the government is attempting to do, particularly now, like I said earlier, with the Me Too movement, rape culture, and the like. I think they're actually trying to, I don't want to say restore balance. I think they're trying to put things back on an equal footing to where the onus of sexual consent or anything of that nature is between the two individuals. I think the government is trying to actually get out of people's lives as much as they possibly can so those people can have the right of self-determination. Because ultimately, that's what the United States is about. It's about the individual's ability to determine their own future. The preamble to the Constitution speaks about that. The Declaration of Independence, pardon me, it speaks to that. Some people disagree and say that was only for the white man and it wasn't geared for us. Hey, look, you live in this country. And I will not say this begrudgingly, I will say this wholeheartedly. You are a fool if you don't take advantage of things that are here for you to take advantage of. Country is a great place. There are some things that are bad, there are some things that are good, there are some things that are fantastic. We all know that if you put in the work, you can become almost anything you want to be. Jay-Z song. I'm sorry, Nas song said that. My Nas and Jay-Z confused. So it's out there. The question is, how bad do you want it? Y'all see Dave grind.
Yeah, and I think that's just the bottom line. Like you have opportunities to do what you want to do, and the people who sit around and harp on these policies and laws and all that stuff, those is ones probably somewhere down the line they haven't done what they needed to do, and they're looking for excuses. But when you out there grinding and doing whatever you need to do, you just keep it moving. Some of the stuff that happens, you're like, I didn't even know nothing about that because I was busy. I had other stuff going on, and that's where we have to lean toward, just occupying, and not saying that you shouldn't be knowledgeable of stuff, but I guess a lot of things are, at some point or another, it becomes out of our control. And I think a lot of times we spend too much time dilly-dallying and stuff that's out of our control when you could be doing something else productive. Well,
yeah, but to your point, you have more people posting about power and empire than you do about what's going on in their kids' life.
Yeah,
that type of stuff.
That's some make-believe stuff that I just more. But if that's what their enjoyment is, we all have our enjoyments and our things and our passions. So I just leave it at that. Sometimes I want to comment, but I just let them have their joy. If that's the make-believe world that they live in, then hey, go for it. Well, I know.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Yeah,
I know you said you had to burn that midnight oil, and again trying to stay focused, and just not, of course, an hour and a half, 2 hours. it's never enough time. But I think if you touch on certain topics, some of you may decide, okay, I want to go check out this North Carolina law. You might want to look more into the certain cases to deal with consent, or just self-reflect on anything that was said or any comments that have been made. It's all about growing and building and networking, and that's how you're going to get ahead. So that said, I don't have too much more on this topic. It'll come up again because this is life. It just goes around, stuff in circles. So when people say, oh, you're off topic, or that wasn't what the original topic's about, it's conversation. That's living. I mean, nobody's robotic and it's going to be the same. You're going to stick to a script. This is live and we're going. So you're going to have versions of different like sub-stories to a topic, and that's just it's the way things happen. Herb, you got any closing words?
No, I don't, man. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you, man.
Oh, no problem. It's all good. I mean, it's always nice to have another opinion, and just trying to chop it up and just trying to throw real topics and real discussions that happen on a day-to-day basis that we're impacted by. But with that said, I'm out. Stay tuned for the next version of the Counselor's Corner and the Hanging with Herb segment, and we'll see you. Please share the video. I get tired of oversaying that, but please share it. That's how stuff grow, and that's how stuff build. Also, be on the lookout. Hit me up if you want to get your pre-order in for No Friday Foolishness. It's a self-help book that you're going to reflect on some of the topics that I talk about on a day-to-day basis, more so like a journal, self-reflection, that sometimes you may need that. And I think a lot of times we don't take that time after a long day to say, you know what, let me write my thoughts down. Let me get away. Kids are asleep. My man or my family, she's somewhere snoring, and now is some time for me to kind of reflect on certain things that's going on and how you can make yourself better. So let me know. Like I said, hit me up, inbox me, or you know the drill. I'm out. Damn, it seems like it's Wednesday or Thursday, but it's only Monday night. And got a long week ahead of me. Yeah, long week ahead of me. So I'll see you, and stay tuned for the upcoming post and stuff like that. And appreciate you, Herb, for bringing your wisdom and your courage to, put yourself out there in this type of platform. So I'm out,
man,
people.
More than happy to do it, man. More than happy to do it. Thank you for all the people that listen and tune in religiously. We appreciate it.
Definitely. So on that note, I'm out. Everybody have a good night and have a prosperous and a blessed remaining of your week. And Lynette, I think it's your birthday. Shout out to you. Happy birthday. And hope you had an amazing day today. And I'm out on that note. Peace, good people.